Hey, welcome to yourlocalnote.com. My name is Mike Stringer, joined by RJ McKay, and it's time again for another featured YLN VIDCAST. And this week we welcome in Venice Sunlight, and we're going to play a few songs off of a few EPs from them. But first, let me remind you that you can download our apps for free. Just search YLN at the Google Play Store or on your iPhone, and you can stream YLN Radio wherever you are right from your phone, playing music exclusive to the Philadelphia area from all the bands and artists that we've talked to over the 3 years that we've been around. Also, check out our concert calendar so you know where these bands are playing and when they are playing. So let's get started here. We got Venice Sunlight in the studio, and we're going to begin with their song Annabelle. It's off their first EP called The Rabid Rabbits. We'll be talking to Venice Sunlight on yourlocalnote.com.
I'd rather drive in the morning, 'cause all her friends and enemies have all fled this town. So we ride so alive at the stroke of 1 a.m. Speed on through the sunrise, and then she disappears. Do you believe? Do you believe? Love is fleeting and largely pharmaceutical. Love is permanent, intentional, and durable. Love is fleeting and largely pharmaceutical. Love is permanent, intentional, and durable. Whoa, whoa. My backyard, astral weeks on the stereo. I say that I just don't feel beside you. Annabelle, you can stay the course, but you'll never change me. But feel free, come in as you please. Some nights you stay on the ground, something to get up again. Some nights you stay underground, never to get up again. But do you believe? Do you believe? Love is fleeting and largely pharmaceutical. Love is permanent, intentional, and durable. Love is fleeting and largely pharmaceutical. Love is permanent, intentional, and durable. Annabelle, Annabelle, buy me a beer and go to hell. I don't need your scars in my life, 'cause I'm out here on the street working all the camo lights girls. But in Washington redeems me all the time. Love is fleeting and largely pharmaceutical. Love is permanent, intangible, and durable. Love is fleeting and largely pharmaceutical. Love is permanent, intangible, and durable. Love is fucking chains that I'm in love. If I'm not, it's not enough. If I can't change, then I'm in love. If I'm not, it's not enough.
The song is Annabelle. They are Venice Sunlight, and this is yourlocalnote.com. Let me welcome in Jay from Venice Sunlight. Welcome to the studio.
It's awesome to be here. Very flattered you guys asked me in. Don't exactly know why you did it, but
Oh, come on.
it's between you guys. Every time I get asked to talk about our music, I couldn't be more flattered, more humbled, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing. It's amazing. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Let the listeners know what role you play in the band, and then also introduce the members who aren't here.
Yep. So I'm Jason Vertobello. I'm the lead vocalist and rhythm guitarist and rabble-rouser, basically, main rabble-rouser of the band, Venice Sunlight. And, I'm also one of the principal songwriters along with David Cohen, who my other guys aren't here because they don't love you guys as much as I do.
Oh, okay, that's good.
No.
We'll remember that.
Yeah. You just file that away.
We know guys who know guys.
No, that's how it goes. I'm with you. I try to threaten them with that all the time. It never works. It's terrible. So Dave Cohen is lead guitarist extraordinaire. One of the best lead guitarists I've ever seen play the instrument, honestly and truly. I'm gonna kiss a little bit of ass here, but only because I'm being sincere.
That's good.
And he does some backing vocals too. There's Steve Crosstein, who was our bass player. Plays some of the craziest, most melodic bass lines ever. If you ever heard Annabelle, which you might have just listened to a second ago, if you listen real close in the chorus, you should really listen to his bass part. It's insane. I remember seeing him play it once. It was nuts. And so he does bass and backing vocals, and then there's Alex Brown, who in the band is our curmudgeon of time signatures. So if he wants to make something more interesting, he's like, well, what about a 7/8 part? So which is which we're cool with that. That's fun. It's a fun way to try to put a spin on a pop song. So he does drums and percussion and likes to try and yell things, but he doesn't have a microphone. So
excellent.
Good luck
Nice.
with that, Alex.
And how long have you been together, this group for Venice Sunlight?
We've been kicking around. We put out some demos in like 06, 07, 08. And then we were 5 pieces at the time. And then our rhythm guitarist at the time left. I was just doing vocals. But the rhythm guitarist left, around 2008 or 9. And so we were at a bit of a crossroads at that time. I remember the email chain. I probably still have it saved of like, well, do we just like dissolve it or like? And I was like, okay, well, I used to play guitar in my old band with my friend Ed and a couple of other friends of mine. And so I was like, I guess I wasn't as good of a guitar player as the old guy, but I'll at least try to fake it, And then so over time we kind of just started developing our sound a bit more. We kind of whittled it down to a 4-piece. Myself playing guitar at this point. And we shuffles and everything, and then we ended up where we are with a handful of songs, and that's how our first EP came out. So.
Right, yeah, the first EP, The Rabid Rabbits, and that's the first song we heard was off of that, Annabelle. How long did that first EP take then for you guys?
It was a fun struggle because we cut a whole bunch of pre-production demos and we couldn't really decide where we wanted to be sonically or just from a stylistic standpoint because anybody that's heard our old demos can tell you we're a bit pop punkier. Think of like Cartel or like any of those other Newfound Glory kind of stuff. But we were growing up at the time. We were 22, 23, still figuring stuff out, and we kind of wanted to make a little bit more timeless stuff. So you can hear a bit of the growing pains in the EP a little bit because half of the songs are a little bit grittier, and half of them are a little bit more timeless or whatever. But yeah, no, it was good. All told, I'm surprised it took us as little time as it did. I think it was about a year and a half for us to kind of really flesh everything out, and we've been trying to steamroll. We're constantly writing, just evolving, and it's great.
And what was Annabelle about lyrically?
It's funny because Dave usually spearheads a lot of the lyrics, and I usually end up kind of futzing with him a bit because he'll write things like "in this subconscious topology of my feeble mind, I know," and I'm like, we should probably whittle that down. So it's a little.
How many of those words did I actually use?
You realize I have to sing this, right? So what rhymes with topology? Proctology? Like what? Like it's super weird. So I had to change some of that stuff around. But what's really funny is that with all of this stuff in the Versus series, versus the Rabid Rabbits, versus the Sophomore Slump, and our upcoming full length, which we're working on, we're going to call it, I think, Versus the Swingers and the Saints. What's funny is that this stuff is pretty much 90 to 95% autobiographical, but we also, we took a little bit of liberties with it.
Sure.
Yeah, just because, it makes for more interesting stories, but I always say the names have been changed to protect the not so innocent. So Annabelle's a real person. It's about just listening to Van Morrison. Astro Weeks on the stereo is one of the lyrics in that song.
Right.
And just, kind of, I remember actually when we wrote that song, Dave, we were just about to go on stage, and we were a 4-piece, and it was when the Khyber was still the Khyber and hadn't changed to the Khyber Pass.
Okay.
So it was, Khyber's great, divey, fun vibe. We're just about to go on stage, and Dave had written on a Post-it note his bookie notes because he takes bets. This guy. So he wrote the main chorus lyric: "Love is fleeting and largely pharmaceutical. Lust is permanent and tangible and durable." And I thought that was just such a brilliant line to turn on his head.
I like that.
And then of course there are all these bookie notes on it. It was like super funny. If you open up the packaging, you'll actually see it sort of.
Some bookie notes in there.
It's actually the same note that we actually put in there. It's kind of funny.
That's
so,
fantastic.
Yeah, it was fun. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Where did you come up with the name Venice Sunlight?
It was something we were kicking around a whole bunch of names. You never know what to call yourself. It's like the worst thing when you're a band. You
Right.
know? It's like people asking you what you sound like. What the hell am I supposed to,
Yeah, right,
sound
right.
like us? But we went through a whole bunch of names, and I remember I was recalling when I studied abroad when I was studying at Drexel. I went abroad for a couple months, and I went to Venice, Rome, and Paris, which was a fun little spring break.
Yeah.
And I remember, even though Venice is a bit of a tourist trap, the conditions were awesome there. It was just beautiful. I'd never seen anything like it. We were going all down the side streets and places you're not supposed to go. But so it was a perfect experience for me. The only thing that was missing was a little bit of sunlight because it was overcast the entire time.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So the idea of Venice Sunlight is kind of how we are to ourselves, which is this relentless pursuit of chasing perfection is how I usually put it.
Okay.
But you never quite get it. But it doesn't mean you don't try.
Right.
So it's a bit heavy-handed, but it means something, which I think is a lot of these bands nowadays, don't really have a. Like, what does Go To mean? I just heard that song. Yeah. You never remember that guy? Somebody that I used to know? What happened to that guy?
You Google something, and if you can't find it, then that's probably
that's
a good band
a good
name.
band name. Yeah, I was like, well, no one's got this weird moniker. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
That's fine. So.
We've had several people make that reference. Yeah, we Googled it, no one had it, so we took
Done.
it.
That's what it comes down to. So
That's funny.
So the name of that first EP is Versus the Rabid Rabbits, and what was to follow is Versus the
sophomore slump.
Sophomore Slump, and then you kept with that theme. Where did the Versus theme?
So it's funny because if you look on the actual EP, let me pull this up here. I don't know if viewers at home can see this, but there are some rabbit heads here. So what happened was that our good friend Steve Rivera, who helped design this beautiful stuff, and he does a lot of our work along with our friend Tim. He works at this place called Clip Collective, or he works, I should say. He doesn't live here anymore. But in any event, we're in the studio, we're getting our promo shots taken, and we're goofing around. And Clip does a lot of work for a lot of interesting clients. And one of their clients was Alice, which was a sci-fi series, which was a send-up or an adaptation, as it were, of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
Right.
So
okay.
they have these rabbit heads lying around, and so one of the rabbits is actually my bassist's now wife. At the time, it was girlfriend, fiance,
nice.
and the other one was the Steve's at the time girlfriend. So they
Okay.
just put on the rabbits, and they started chasing us around, putting the rabbit heads chasing us around. So it was just funny. It's obviously it's a Photoshop picture, but it was we thought it was hilarious, so we just kind of kept with that. And I remember someone was supposed to pick me up for the recording sessions, and they forgot. So I'm walking from my place, and
They forget the vocalist.
because it was one of the situations where everybody thought everybody else was picking me.
Right,
so
right,
it was
okay.
okay, well, the hell with this. I'm just going to walk. So I walked from Northern Liberties to Fishtown. Not a far walk. I was just kind of thinking on my own, though, listening to the demos. And I was just thinking, what are we going to call this thing? And I remember we were being chased by the rabbits, and I was like, Versus the Rabbits. No, it's like versus the rabbits, though, because some of the songs are kind of about sex, too. So it's got that double meaning of,
Sure.
So it actually, and it kind of just went off from there because I thought it was such a funny thing, and again, we don't take ourselves very seriously. I was telling you guys even before the show.
Right.
So then from there, we had Versus the Rabbits, and it's kind of just stuck. It's been funny since then how a little thing that you think of on a walk over because someone forgot about you,
Right.
And it turns into your whole central aesthetic. How about that?
Well, I mean, the one thing I think you guys really do well is the fact that the fun that you have making music comes across, and sometimes that's difficult to do.
Yeah.
And people can see it on stage. That's one thing, but sometimes translating a live show onto a CD is difficult. But I think you guys do a really good job. It sounds like you're having fun, even just recording your songs.
And that's something where I think a lot of bands, even bands that are friends of mine, they have problems catching that lightning in a bottle thing.
Sure.
And for us, we work feverishly to make sure that we can replicate this stuff, in the studio, live setting, whatever.
Yeah.
And part of the challenges that I faced was first off, I had pretty bad stage fright up until probably a year ago.
Really?
Yeah, it was. You could ask the guys. I used to get shit hammered. I'm talking like 3 sheets to the wind,
So
could
you
barely
could get
stand
up
on
there.
stage so I can get
Remember
up
the
there.
lyrics.
Exactly. So it was a terrible show, and then eventually, I got less and less and less. My hands still kind of shake if I don't have one drink, just because I get nervous.
Mm-hmm.
But I can play at least. And what I had to do is I had to go to karaoke and do all this other stuff, and then eventually
Work your way through
so I had to
that.
work, but where I'm going with this is that eventually, between that and having to learn how to play all these parts better, and Dave, God love him, writes some amazing parts for me. We go back and forth, and he writes all these parts to make me a better guitarist. And what happens is that it's just like anything else in music. If you get really good at it, then the fun happens.
Yeah.
So for us, our biggest thing was coming from, being like a pop punky whatever kind of band to being the type of professional band that like we don't take ourselves seriously at all.
Right.
But we take what we do incredibly seriously.
Right.
So with that in mind, like, we can, I've played Dockside Bar, jumped off the stage and just ran around because I have wireless pack. I think you saw me do that running around like a madman when I was playing Raw.
At Raw,
it was
Lit
funny.
Ultra Bar,
Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, I think a lot of artists have a lot of problems capturing what it is that the intangibles,
right,
and putting it onto a record is really difficult, and we're really, really conscious of that. So
okay, very good. Let's go to song number 2.
Yeah,
we'll play it, and then we'll come back. We'll talk about that. I want to talk about a little bit more about the songwriting process, and I gotta know what whiskey rock the genre is. We're going to talk about that. That's all coming up. But first, let's go to Hey Logan. This is off the EP Versus Sophomore Slump. The band is Venice Sunlight. This is YourLocalNote.com.
You got nothing left. So we're dancing, we're rocking, we're rolling, spitting on fire, and some of us have chosen to take a ride on the whirly gig back to 95. And on stage they're singing cigarillo. It's about to get ugly, about to get real. For the moment we're all in time and we're all in tune. Whoa, everybody in the back room swinging. Hey, hey, yeah, with the boys in the band. Hey, hey, yeah, this is not what we planned. Another night, another show, another road. We gotta go, and we know you're gonna sweat till you got nothing left. For the city of Philly with your brick ivory walls lighting down the old city. Took a ride all the way to New York where the party don't stop. What the hell's last call? Travel north as we ship up to Boston. We don't play no hardcore, but if you care, you don't show it. Born to lose, born to win, but we'll do it all again. Kind of a mess, but the best of the kind, and we went with the flow. She's a monster, but we got it on video. And we know that it's just the beginning. Get down with the swingers, the saints will keep sinning. It's all for you cause we love what we do and we're coming through. Whoa, and everybody in the tap room screaming. Everybody in the tap room screaming. Hey, hey, yeah, with the boys in the band. Hey, hey, yeah, just so we planned. We got the moves, we got the grooves, and all the rest is up to you. And we know you're gonna sweat till you got nothing left.
song is called Hey Logan. It's from Venice Sunlight, and it's off their EP versus Sophomore Slum. All right, Jay, let's talk about Hey Logan. When I first heard that song, the first thing I thought of was the Dropkick Murphys.
Yeah.
Because it had that sound to start. And, of course, as I was telling you before, my wife is a huge Dropkick Murphys fan. So she'll automatically be drawn to that song. I know she will. But tell us about this song. Who wrote it? What's it about? And...
You know, that song probably has the biggest story behind it, so I'm glad you asked. That's actually kind of funny. So that song refers to Kelly's Logan House over in Delaware.
Okay.
So what happened was that we're playing the show with John and Brittany, who you guys know very well, and people in Philly know very well. And I think the Caulfields had reunited for that show, which is John Fay's band from the 90s and what have you. So it was a fun time. We were all just, again, crazy, drunk, fun times. And basically what happened was that there was a handle of Jack going around amongst the bands. That'll happen.
Yes.
I'm not saying that we supplied it, but I'm not saying we didn't supply it. I don't even remember at this point. But
it only has one name on it.
It's just, whatever. So at any event, sitting backstage, sipping on the whiskey, whatever. And so I don't even remember how the bottle was spirited, pun intended, onto the stage. But at that point, we were all kind of taking swigs out of the bottle in between songs, and apparently, like, either as we were finishing or after we finished, the sound guy jumps up and is like, "You can't do that. That's illegal in Delaware."
To drink on stage?
To drink on stage out of a bottle. Yeah, that is illegal. So I learned something.
So if you had a glass, though, it would have been fine.
Well, I guess, or something. Or because you're screwing the bartenders, So it all became clear after he explained it, and I was like, well, if you take a couple swigs, can you make this go away? He's like, yeah, we got it.
Let me just step off stage.
Let's talk about a couple swigs. So there's a couple lyrics in there that totally reference that, and there's some other stuff that we touched on. We went on tour after that, and one of the last verse, I believe, is my friend Ed, who I mentioned I played a band with. He went on tour with us as a roadie, and we got smashed in my hometown of Albany at a bar after we played, and we're listening to Lady Gaga. There's like a line, "This fame, she's a monster." What we got it on video was us videoing my friend Ed singing Bad Romance wasted. For us, the songwriting process, for Dave, he mostly sketches out the main ideas.
Okay.
So he sketched this incredible narrative about what happened, and I went through with a fine-tooth comb and like rearranged some stuff and rewrote the whole, a bunch of the whole elements of it.
Does it start off a long, a lot of lyric, like too much?
Yeah, he's a very verbose guy. Dave is a genius, like a certified genius, and he's gonna get mad at me for saying all this stuff. He's a graduate from Harvard, 3 years in poli-sci.
Wow.
So and the guy, like, you can just like talk. Hey man, can you play that like in the key C sharp and the mixolydian scale? He'd be like, got it, and just like play. Like he's like one of those savants that you just get like pissed at. Oh man. So he's like one of those guys. And so I mean he's just it's great, but he used to write anyway these like 5.5 to 7.5 minute long things, and I'm like, we're gonna cut this out, we're gonna cut this out, we're gonna so the whole thing.
And how did he handle that?
No, he used to be a lot more sensitive about it, but now we subscribe to the motto, and I actually said this a couple of days ago when we finished this, because one of our songs clocked in at about 5:15. The song is as long as the song requires itself to be. Okay. And that's something we learned kind of from John Fay and ourselves.
Okay.
So it was good. Yeah, it's great. He brings the ideas, we fine-tooth comb it, cut it down, do what we got to do, and then it becomes a song. So.
And he likes to observe and take life experiences, and then you guys then add a little bit of color and
sure.
flavor.
And there are certain songs, that I've written as well that are the same thing. Like Arms is the second track on the first EP versus the Rabbit Rabbits. I wrote a bunch of the lyrics on that.
Okay.
I wrote a bunch of the lyrics, I think, on the Green Room.
And was alcohol involved in that one too? Because that's becoming a big theme here.
And this leads into what you were asking before, which is the whiskey rock.
Yes.
I think that a lot of our stuff is best enjoyed with a nice glass of scotch or something, because we keep it loose, but it's also also professional. Also, a funny story about Hey Logan, real quick, is when we first started jamming out on it, that Dropkick Murphys vibe.
Yeah.
I was doing like a fake Irish jig as soon as I heard that. In the beginning.
Right.
And so when I initially saved the demo and I sent it out, Steve and I were joking how it sounds like in Spinal Tap when they're doing like the jig and how they danced.
Yes.
So I saved it as the file name and how they danced. Hey Logan wave. So it was funny.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah.
So in putting your EPs together and recording them, you've done 3 now. You're working on a full-length album. How much input are you guys getting into the recording process? Is it a whole band process, or do you have a producer who helps you out with that?
Yeah, I mean,
how does that work?
Well, we were pretty autonomous, but we've been working with our good friend John Lowe for a very long time. He did our demos, and he's done a lot of great stuff, I was saying, with the National, and Joan Osborne he did some stuff for, and Local Natives, and a bunch of amazing people. He just did some Mumford & Sons stuff.
Wow.
So he's getting really big, but the great thing about John is I've known him since college, and he's still really good friends with us, so he always likes to help us out.
Great.
And John's fantastic because he'll push us. He really does. We're pretty autonomous in a lot of ways because we have a pretty good idea as to what we want to sound like. But John's amazing in that he's able to pull stuff out of us we didn't know we wanted.
Right.
So he'll be like, well, you could use this delay thing that I took from Toto, because he has like crazy stuff in his studio.
Right.
So we ended up using that for something. We're like, wow, that sounded a lot better than it sounded in our heads. So for us, we're very autonomous, and we definitely have an idea, at least during the pre-production stages. But then when we go in, we like having John as sort of our fifth member, because I think that you really need to have another ear in the studio.
Right.
Just because otherwise you get lost in your own sort of system, and I think that you can be hurt if you don't know what you're doing.
You can be too close to it.
Absolutely, yeah. It's there are certain parts that if I wrote an entire song, right, and I really wanted this central idea to stay in that song, like this chorus, this is so kick-ass, I got to keep it, but it doesn't fit with the rest of the song. If you have an impartial party saying, dude, you got to write something else, then it means a lot more than like people just attacking your ego or whatever.
And as you progress, because now you're on, working on a full-length album, and you have 3 EPs in there, it must be getting easier and easier to let go of some of the stuff that
Absolutely.
you put together.
It really only takes us maybe 2 practices now to write a song.
Really?
Dave will sketch it out, and then yesterday he was like, okay, well, these are these 3 ideas, and so we sat down, we're like, okay, let's start with that one. And so, okay, well, Dave, how does it go? And then he'll kind of go through the part, and then we'll pick what we like and we don't like, and then we're halfway done with the song at the end of a 3-hour practice. And then the next day, because again, there are no egos. It's not anything. I made a joke when we were recording Versus the Aluminum Poles is our most recent holiday single. I said, as long as we're all equally miserable. And it's a very Jewish, I'm Jewish, it's a very Jewish way to look at stuff. As long as they're all equally miserable, that's fine.
Well, that's good. It's all equal.
Everybody's equally depressed. It's fine. So
how long until you play a new song live? Do you ever play a song just to kind of get some feedback from a crowd?
I do that acoustically a lot because I play a lot more acoustic shows than we do for full band because we don't want to split our draw. We like playing once a month, if that, just because we want it to be an event.
Right.
People yell at us for that, but we just have more fun that way. And I actually play out usually every Wednesday or so. I usually go to Dobbs, and I'll be like, hey, guys, I'm just going to try out like a minute 45 of this and just see how it sounds.
Right.
And then, I source the feedback because they're all musicians at the Dobbs.
Sure.
Like. So normally, I'll feel it out. Those guys are a lot more slow about it than me. I usually get really excited and I want to play it. But then again, they're not singing it,
Right.
But yeah, usually after the song is done, it takes probably 2 or 3 practices, 2 or 3 weeks, and then we'll feel comfortable, and then we'll roll it out. Also depends on how complex the song is. There's some really complex things we're doing. But, oh man, it's fun. It's fun.
So what about then musically with the songwriting process? Are you having your input on the bass part or on the drums part?
Absolutely.
Like, how does that work for you?
It's tough because it's really funny trying to describe how the drums should sound. Well, you're going like ukataka-da-da, and we're talking like ukataka-da-da. And he's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
So so we do our best. We're all like relatively good at theory in some capacity or another. Like Alex, my drummer, is a wizard at that stuff. He knows what he's talking about, as is Dave, and Steve and I are no slouches either. But yeah, I mean, it really is. We'll, especially when we're in the studio and it's just us overdubbing the parts.
Yeah.
We'll be able to really hear. Well, that feels like there's too many notes. Like, what if you made it less busy? And then we'll all listen to it, and then we'll all, And again, it's not that we're trying to like whack down people's egos. It's like what's going to make the song sound the best. And sometimes it's making things more ornate. Sometimes it's not.
So, but you've been together for a while, so that makes it easier than to just say, okay, it's about the song.
In some ways, it's better to have session musicians do your stuff, but in some ways, it's better when your really good friends are doing it. Because session musicians, of course, will just take direction and do it. Your friends will be a little bit more honest with you about stuff and just say, hey, man, like, I wasn't really feeling this vocal line. Could you try it again in a different register? Could you try it this way? Like, you were a little flat on this part. I mean, I don't take offense to it anymore. Obviously, they're going to tell me the truth. So.
All right, let's go back to your first EP, versus the Rabid Rabbits. We're going to play The Green Room. Is this also about something that took place at a bar? Because I know of a few bars
they
called The
generally
Green
are.
Room.
Well, yeah, there's a lyric in there that says, well, this one's at the bar, all by her lonesome, sipping Stolio. We make references to Scarlett Johansson. This one's a cool one because I was talking about the verbosity of some of our lyrics, and the very first lyrics of the song are, in the subconscious spectacle of my feeble mind I know. And those were the lyrics that I had to redo, in this subconscious apology of my feeble mind.
Okay,
And,
so that's what you changed
That's
it
when I'm
to.
like, let's just toe the line right here. You know? And that's a good one because actually this song was placed on The Real World St. Thomas. So that was very cool of MTV to take a shot on us and to, and so, we get an itty bitty check every now and then, and it's
very cool.
I keep wanting to frame it. They won't do it. So it's cool.
Well, you haven't cashed it yet.
No, yeah, that's what are you going to do? But yeah, Green Room. Fun stuff.
All right, we're sitting with Jay here from Venice Sunlight, and this song is off their first EP called Versus the Rabid Rabbits. The song is called The Green Room, and you're listening to yourlocalnote.com.
In this subconscious spectacle of my feeble mind, I know rock and roll means well, but it pours this honey in your ear. And so, of course, I still believe in minor miracles. I grab her hips and taste her lips. She screams at me and runs back home. Well, I should have known. So now I'm making eyes at every girl in this goddamn room. Her and her and her and her and the two of them. Oh yeah. Well, this one's at the bar all by her lonesome, sipping Stolio, and lay some line about how we're on up next tonight. She kinda smirks like she kinda knows I'm on to something here, but then she disappears, and I should have known. Oh, I'm one more incident away from them locking me away in a place where I can't see my friends or family. And as they're bolting up this door, so I can't hurt no one no more, I think of you and how you split my mind in two. 'Cause you're so beautiful, like Elizabeth Banks invincible, but all I can see of you are your Betty Davis eyes. Well, this establishes a paradigm that stays with me. I guess that's how you get a reputation that precedes. Your actions just distract me from you ever reaching that stage of attraction. And maybe this would have worked out if it wasn't for that stupid word of mouth. Now I can't help myself. I'm strapped across my chest. I look so good in black, but white suits me best. I'm one more incident away from them locking me away in a place where I can't see my friends or family. And
The song is called The Green Room. They are Venice Sunlight, and this is yourlocalnote.com. Jay, for someone who hasn't seen the band perform live, how would you describe what happens on stage that we haven't heard from stories at Kelly's or any other
It is
place?
a little bit chaotic sometimes. It depends on the venue and the crowd. I mean, like, we don't really care. My motto's always been, and these guys agree with me, they'll say the same thing, play every room as if it were like 10,000 people. It doesn't matter because that's infectious. You know what I mean? I know that if I go see a band and they're kind of being humdrum about everything,
Right.
I mean, it's it doesn't stick with you. The band that really goes balls to the wall every night is who you want to see. So for us, we definitely bring it every single time. Dave used to, but I think he's trying to write some parts now. He used to play behind his head. We've since retired the one song that he was able to do that on, so we're trying to actually come up with a part somewhere specifically so he can do that. This is kind of stuff that we come up with, but yeah, it's great. I jump off stages and Dave does all sorts of crazy stuff. We do the whole Beatles like la 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 thing, where we all get into the same mic. When we did the release for Versus the Sophomore Slump, we did a cover of the Jay Giles band Centerfold, which I think fits pretty well with our
Yes,
with our MO,
I think
as
so.
it were.
Yep.
And so at the end of the night, a bunch of my friends just kind of came up and started singing la da 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 da.
Right.
So like things like that, just kind of happen. My friends will just bum rush the stage and just start singing the bop bop it up pars in the green room, and
So you guys just adapt to what's going on.
we adapt to what's going on. There's a break in one of our songs where it's like a false ending, and we normally just kind of take shots at the same time, and like because anybody can get on stage and just play your instruments, right?
Right.
It's about making a communal experience, between you and the audience and anybody else that's listening in.
Make it a party.
Make it a party. Why not?
Yes.
No,
Create a feeling so that when they hear your songs later, after getting your album, they can associate that feeling
with that.
wherever they are.
Precisely. Yeah. And most of us work, we're in school, we work 9 to 5 jobs. Like this band isn't work, unless we're writing, but this band isn't work. We want to make sure that any association that you have with us is nothing but euphoria. And anything else less than that, we're not doing our jobs. So
Very cool.
All right, let's go through a couple of the shows you have lined up.
Yep. So we have, we booked pretty far out because we're just finished writing this record. We have April 26th upstairs at Dobbs with Amber Jacobs. I'm pretty sure that's confirmed, so don't kill me if you don't see it on your calendars. And July 24th at the Fire with Valentiger. So if it's not warm enough for you in April, it's certainly going to be warm enough for you in July. And we love playing both those venues. Dobbs is one of our favorites, of course.
Yep.
I'm there all the time. They know me very well. And the Fire is one of those amazingly shitty dive bars. Like, I don't know if you've ever been there.
Yes, we have.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Yes.
It's
a great place to see bands.
and I love it. And I'm not saying any of this in a bad way. It's one of those places that's just one of those rat holes that is always just about to close, but doesn't. It's just like a little sketchy, but it's not. But it's communal, man.
But a ton of people play there.
But that's what's the best part about it. And the booking people there are so sweet.
Right.
The bartending staff and the sound people are amazing people.
Yeah, we've been there. Nice people. Yeah.
And again, nothing bad to say about them.
Yeah.
All that stuff is meant as compliments. I'm sorry, guys. It's meant to be nice.
We'll have those shows up on our concert calendar, but let's go through now some of your websites and social media.
It's all pretty standard issue because again, nobody really has Venice Sunlight as their name. So you can just go to bandpage.com/Venice Sunlight. VeniceSunlight.com goes to our straight to our Bandcamp page. So you can download Versus the Rabid Rabbits is pay what you can. Versus the Sophomore Slump is like $2, and then Versus the Aluminum Poles, our holiday single, 7-inch thing, whatever, is free of charge because we're nice people around Festivus. So there's that. Twitter is twitter.com/Venice Sunlight. Usually Dave is the guy that updates that. My handle, if you want to follow me for some reason, is twitter.com/JAYVERT. And yeah, all that good stuff. We're on Reverb Nation, all the sites you'd expect us to be on, except for MySpace, which I don't think anybody expects anybody to be on MySpace anymore.
Yeah, you're first person in quite a while who's mentioned that.
It's a bittersweet day when we had to take that down.
I'm sure.
When only bands are offering you messages, then who cares?
Very cool. Yeah. And of course, there's a space between some of your shows because you're working on your full-length album.
Yes.
When do you expect that to be? We're very old-fashioned.
pre-production in that, we like records. We anticipate, for example, that this is going to be like on a large vinyl.
Oh, okay.
And probably like maybe a short run on CD and then a digital release. But we're old school in the way that we do these things, so we're not rushing it. We book the shows pretty far in advance just because we only have about. We're demoing 20 songs. We're going to keep 15 and record them and then keep those 12, and those are going to be our songs. But we don't want to rush. We only have like about 2.5 or 3 left. So we don't want to rush that process. But we're hopefully we're going to get in for pre-production in the next month or two, and then we'll decide on our songs if we don't kill each other in the next couple of months. And then we'll hopefully, if I have it my way, we'll have it up before the end of the year.
Before the end, and then we'll have you come back and we'll talk about the album.
Totally. It's going to be a blast. We cannot wait to share this stuff with you guys. It's going to be awesome.
Great. And then you'll have a CD or an album release party.
I'll bring in a giant record for you guys. It'll frame it or something. It'll be great. Yeah, we'll kick off
your phonograph.
Yeah, it'll be awesome. Yeah,
I got one. Shut up.
I love it. Our last releases actually have been really successful. We played PYT's Back Room back when we were like the first band to play PYT's Back Room.
Nice.
And that sold out past capacity. We broke fire codes. That was fun.
Very
good. And then Sophomore Slump, I think we almost sold out Dobbs. And we always pick really great bands that are friends of ours to play with us.
And we're going to figure out a way to maybe get Jack Daniels to be the sponsor of
it's funny.
your party.
We've been working on sponsorships. I've been talking to a couple companies. One of them was Lagunitas, actually, who we love. If we're not drinking Jack, we're drinking Lagunitas. Let's be real. That's what we do. So, yeah.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Okay. Thank you, Jay. It was great hanging with you.
Oh, it's such a
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
I appreciate you having me in.
No problem.
Mike, appreciate it.
Let's go to the last song, Flagpole Sitta. Now, this is a cover song.
Yeah.
What made you decide to cover this song?
It was off the cuff because we were writing a holiday song because we were like, I'd been gunning for this for probably 2 years. I was like, we got to write a holiday song. Because it's just fun. It's cheeky. It's whatever. And none of us are really religious. You had 3 Jews and a Gentile, and nobody really believes anything. So, but we all watched Seinfeld, not like religiously, but except for Dave, but whatever. So we did that was our one side, and then we was like, well, we should really do a cover. And then we all just started jamming out on Flagpole Sitta, and then it was funny that they both happened to have poles.
Right.
So that's why we did Versus the Aluminum Poles.
Got it.
So, but yeah, Flagpole Sitta was fun. We took it a little faster than how Harvey Danger did it, and I really think that it translates well. I think you'll feel a lot of the energy in that. So,
excellent. Very good. All right, Jay, thank you so much. I want to remind everyone that next week we'll have a brand new YLN VidCast, and of course you can get our newsletter. Just send us an email at contact@yourlocalnote.com. Streaming 24/7. We have free apps. Go to the app stores and just type in YLN, download it for free, and you can take yourlocalnote.com with you anywhere you're going. All right, once again, we're wrapping things up with Venice Sunlight. The song is Flagpole Sitta. This is yourlocalnote.com.